very academic ending for a lesson on the modes.
Very academic.
I just hit my thumb and it hurt really bad.
Oh no.
That's all right though. Hey guys, welcome to this week's Guitareo live lesson. We're going to talk about what are the modes, and this can be a really complicated, sorry my ears are cutting out too. This can be a really complicated topic that a lot of people get hung up on, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible today. We're going to start out with the very easy, simple way to think about this. And then we'll get into the other way to think about it, which I think is one of the things that confuses people a lot. And for resources,
we have a nice and easy PDF for you guys to follow along. So for those of you guys that are members, it's very obvious where it is. It's right below. Click on downloads. Get that, follow along, because that's basically the outline of what we're going to be talking about today. Those of you guys watching on YouTube, if you do want the PDF, you can go click on the link in the description, and it will take you over to the guitarlessons.com version of the page. And over there, you can download that. There also is a jam track, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that jam track later, but basically it's just C. It's C.
A C. It's a drone on C with a groove.
Exactly. So it allows us to kind of experiment with these modes as we kind of learn about them. And again, if you guys have questions for members, as always, make sure you guys submit those, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. I think that's it, right? We can jump right into it?
I think so. I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm going to read it. If you look at the PDF, I have a really simple definition of what modes are. And this is my definition that I like to think about. I have that it's a simple definition, a simple definition of a mode. A mode is the expression of a certain sound, musical world, color, or mood achieved by making a different note of the major scale, the area of focus, emphasis, or the tonal center. And so to kind of unpack that and let you know what that actually means, we're going to take a look at a C major scale, just starting at our baseline C major scale. And I'm going to use this shape right here. I'm going to get mellow with the neck pickup. So if you don't know the shape, it is on the third page of the PDF. Just a regular C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. No sharps and no flats, so pick that key because it's the easiest to kind of experiment with initially. But play just a regular C power chord for me.
I need a pick first, hold on. Okay, there we go.
If I emphasize the C note over that particular thing, it gives me a very, what we call Ionian mode. The first mode, which is just a major scale. And the funny thing about it is people don't have a problem with that. Usually they consider that mode, it's easy mode to kind of mess around with. And they consider the sixth mode, the Aeolian mode, which is the natural minor scale, it's easy too. I just emphasize the sixth note. And to get a minor sound, a natural minor sound, right? The rest of the notes, the rest of the modes, think about them the exact same way. You can just emphasize that and make a different note of this, the major scale. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Any of the 7 notes in the major scale, if you make that your tonal center in your home, that is going to kind of put you like the first step to getting you to play in a different mode. So I have, if you look at the PDF, I have the first little thing, C major scale written out on the first page. Just C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? Yeah. Now if I want to be in the Dorian mode and still use this C major scale shape, we're going to go to what we call the second mode of the C major scale or the major scale. And all I have to do is start on the second note. You don't have to start here, but we're going to emphasize that second note is going to become kind of the center of our tonal universe, and we're going to emphasize that note to give us a different color or a different kind of a tonal center universe, like I said there. Instead of it sounding really happy, C to C. Now let's go to a D, start on that D, that second note of the scale, and play up all the way to another D. Doesn't sound...
Sounds a little minor-y.
Yeah, exactly. So if all I'm doing is emphasizing the Ds and kind of letting that be my point of reference, it brings up a new color that you can mess with. Now, play just a D power chord. And when I get Andrew to play these power chords, I'm leaving them all neutral as far as major and minor. That way, the mode can apply whether it's major or minor. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. But just listen to the sound of D Dorian. I'm still playing C major scale, just starting on a D note, second note.
Nice.
Now, if I go down to that C, it just sounds like a major scale, right?
Yeah.
And because I just kind of shifted the emphasis from the 2 to the 1. And this is a really good exercise just to sing the major scale with numbers. Start on your 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then do the same thing, but start on the 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And you'll start to internalize. If you do that enough, you'll start to internalize what the different modes sound like, and you'll associate them not only with your fingers and the notes that you're actually playing, but the sounds that you associate with the numbers that you sing along with the numbers. So you can hear it, be able to hear a song and be, it's like, hey, that's emphasizing the 2, or, you know, if it's a modal tune, it'd be like it's in Dorian or something like that. So, and you can do the same thing with every mode of the major scale. Start on the 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Right? It's a little bit difficult at first, and I haven't done this in a while, so I'm kind of fishing around from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And part of my bad singing, but it's really important to internalize this so you get to know the feel and the sound and the color of a particular mode. So if you want to write a song that's in a particular mode that emphasizes like the 3rd mode of the major scale, which is a minor chord, it just happens to be a C, D, E note.
Yeah.
Play an E power chord for me.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. So this is the really simple way to think about modes. So I could be thinking I'm in C, D, E, Lydian. Sorry, Phrygian.
Phrygian.
Yeah. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. And so the first mode of major scale Ionian is what they consider major. So are the 4th and the 5th modes, Lydian and mixed Lydian.
Yeah.
The 2nd, 3rd, and 6th modes of the major scale, which are Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian, are minor. And the Locrian, the 7th, has kind of diminished flavor to it, so it's a little bit different.
And the thing to remember there is it just lines up with what the chords would be.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
well, right?
So if you know your major scale and how it works, like in the key of C major, you have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, E minor, and then back to C major. I miss a B minor 7 flat 5 I played there, or B diminished.
Yeah.
Back to C.
Are you playing 7 chords?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I
I was
shouldn't
like,
have. So major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and then major again.
It's
So
nice that
that's right along with it.
it doesn't change it up. It's like, I already know my pattern of major, major, minors, whatever it is. It's just the same for modes as well.
Yeah, all you're doing is like at the basic like level to understand what modes are. You're just you're making whatever 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 the tonal center or the world or the sound that you want to express that color. Like, you know, I hear Dorian, I think purple.
Okay.
Like yellow, nice and happy, major scale,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think red for Aeolian, the 6th mode. We'll get to that.
Oh, interesting.
But let's go ahead and finish this up for.
We're at Phrygian, right?
We just did Phrygian. Now we're going to do Lydian. All you're doing is starting on the 4th scale degree of the C major scale.
Yeah.
So C, D, E, F, right? And there's a major scale, a major chord that goes along with that. And just starting there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. Now play an F major chord, or just the F power chord.
Nice.
So it's a little bit different sounding than emphasizing the 1, right?
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
Do that again. Play an F. I'm going to play a lick. Now play a C. It's kind of the same lick, but it has a little bit different flavor to it because I'm emphasizing either the 1 there, that last one, or the 4 before.
And you're using identical actual like notes in there, right? Just different.
Same notes, but just trying to emphasize and let my ear kind of lead me to what I want to hear as far as emphasizing.
Right.
Like you could do it F. F major arpeggio. Like that's what I was doing a lot on that intro tune was playing lots of G, trying to think G minor arpeggios with an E.
Right.
For the Dorian mode. We'll get into that more later.
Yeah.
Fifth mode, you can think about as mixolydian, that's what they call it, but you can... Fifth note of the G major, a C major scale is a G. So just think about, you know, making your world center around that G. Play a G power chord.
Nice.
Right? So that gives you one particular sound that you can mess with. The sixth mode, I know I'm burning through these pretty quick, but I'm going over this part more just so you have a basic understanding of what modes are. Yeah, experimenting with them and getting the sound in your head is a really big part. We'll get into this a little more and look at it kind of from the other side of the coin here in a minute.
Yeah.
But sixth mode, alien mode, or the natural minor scale. All you're going to do is start from the sixth or the relative minor, right, of whatever major key you're in. So if you have C, D, E, F, G, A, and notice I've only used one scale shape for all these so far, right?
Yeah.
You can think about it this way. It's a lot easier to get to. So if I start on that A and just finish that scale, play the A power chord. There's the C major and then back down to that A to resolve. So it has a particular sound or flavor or color that you might like, that you might want to express. I don't use modes a ton, but when I do, I kind of gravitate towards a few of them and not so much towards a couple of the other ones.
Which is very normal for players. You'll find, and I don't have specific examples, but they'll maybe have, obviously like Ionian and Aeolian, everybody kind of plays in those because they're very standard, but they won't be like the guy who plays every mode all the time. It's like they'll kind of push into one a little bit, and then that's it. So they use them sparingly. Or they'll just have maybe like guys who typically will just use like just Dorian as well as the normal ones. At least that's what I found.
But did I say with that, mention that song we started out at the beginning was just over a G minor chord for the most of the time, and it was in G Dorian?
Right.
So it had a specific kind of flavor to it, right?
Yeah.
Last one, seventh mode, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So you can go 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that sounds like it either wants to go down or up to me to the one.
I just think it sounds angry. That one just sounds angry to me.
Sounds, just restless and angry.
Yeah.
Because it's over the 7 chord, which would be a diminished chord, or half diminished chord.
Yeah.
So that's the first way to think about modes, and I would really encourage you to just dig in and start experimenting with memorizing the sound or color that each mode affords you. And to help you with that, I have a jam track. And you have to think about this in a little bit different way for this jam track, but that's okay. All it is, it's a groove over a C major chord. Not even a chord, just C note.
Right.
It kind of sounds like Rush when EDM or something.
Very much of Rush.
But let's see. C major. Right? Very major sounding. So all I did was took that C major scale and played that over. And a really good exercise, I can't emphasize this enough, is to think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Especially with this going. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? Now, here comes the tricky part. Don't let this intimidate you. We'll get into this more on the next page, but for now, what I want you to realize that you can do is you can play all 7 nodes over this jam track. You're just choosing, as with C as your root note, you're choosing which mode you want to play over this. And this is going to do a couple things. It's going to help you learn how to express a mode, and it's going to help you memorize the certain sound of a mode. So I'm going to play a C Dorian scale over this C jam track. But what's the C is the second note in a what scale? Sorry, it's a B flat scale. Correct. So all I'm basically doing is playing a B flat scale. You can look at it that way, or you can look at it as an entirely new shape, kind of.
And I think that can be intimidating.
That's I think why a lot of people get confused, and we'll get into this more later. But for right now, just listen to what this exact same jam track sounds like with a C Dorian scale instead of a C major scale. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to go with the jam track this second. Now we're going to get into the second way to think about modes, which if you're doing good with me so far, if you're tracking along with us, you might want to shut me off right now and just listen to the rest of this lesson for entertainment value, because I don't want to confuse you. If you understood everything and you're like, oh, I can start on a different note of the major scale and grab a new tonality to play with, that's fine. Work on that for the time being, but for all those of you who are like, oh, that's easy, that's child's play, we're going to look at this in a different way. So, if you have a major scale, C major scale, if you want to keep your same root note but change your mode, the formula for that is you can either go a major scale that's a whole step below that, right? B flat to C, because C is the second degree. Or you could think about just starting with a major scale, C major scale, and just lowering the third and the seventh notes by 1/2 step. So 1, 2, 3 lowered, 4, 5, 6 is raised, not lowered. That's the key. So it's like what would normally be in a major scale, and then lower the seventh. Sorry. Got off there. Then lower the seventh. So normally you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Lower the third and the seventh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So either way you want to think about it is fine. Doesn't really matter. It depends on the musical context, on the way that I think about it. Lately, more and more, I've been thinking about just triads.
Okay.
But that's a little off topic.
Yeah.
But like for the second mode, the formula for that, if you want to think about it and keeping the root note the same, you can either play the third note of an A flat scale,
right?
Start on the third note of the A flat scale to play a C Phrygian scale, or you could lower a bunch of notes out of the C major scale to make a C Phrygian scale. Phrygian scale. So you have C, a lowered second, lowered third, regular fourth, regular fifth, lowered sixth, lowered seventh. Right?
Oh man, I can see why people get confused having to memorize the.
Yeah, it's almost like you're learning how to build a major scale all over again. Right?
Yeah.
It's just altered.
Yeah.
So you can think about it that way. The cool thing about this is you can see what notes are altered in modes. That way you know what notes are kind of your key color chords, tones you can pull out.
For sure.
So that's one big advantage to that. Either way you want to think about it, it's fine. Do it works for you. The next one, what are we on, 4?
This would be on Lydia now.
A 4 is a pretty easy one. It's a pretty distinct sound too, and everybody always thinks of The Simpsons when they hear Lydia. So there's C major. All you have to do is raise the 4th scale degree by 1/2 step.
Oh, that is. That's funny. I never knew that.
So. That's all you have to think of. You can either think of that, or you can think of whatever C is the 4th scale degree of. So if you go backward, G, A, B, C, right? C Lydian is nothing more than a G major scale. You're just emphasizing the C instead of the G.
Right.
5th mode, mixed Lydian. Instead of having a regular major scale, you'll lower the 7th scale degree by 1/2 step. And this is really bluesy because you get that, it creates a dominant 7th chord.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit cleaner. Right? You can even like the blues scale works really good over
Yeah.
with kind of a conjunction with mixolydian mode because you get that kind of seventh sound.
Right. Okay.
The sixth mode, the Aeolian mode, you can think about the relative major key for whatever key you're wanting to do. Like, so if you wanted to play a C, Aeolian, C, D, E flat, you can think about E flat major. Or you can just think of lowering the third, sixth, and seventh notes of a C major scale.
And this is an easy one because for a lot of people it's just making a C minor scale.
Right, and like all the stuff doesn't matter. The modes are just a certain sound. If you don't like the sound of a certain mode, you know, I wouldn't spend too much time on it. If you really like the sound of Dorian or something, really dig into it, getting to know which way you like thinking about it, both ways, maybe preferably, and then just start woodshedding the shapes on the neck. I don't do it nearly as much as I should, because I don't really use it a ton in my personal playing.
Right.
But it's really good to know.
Yeah.
And last mode, you could think about just playing a major scale that's, you know, all the way. You're using the 7th degree of whatever major scale you're on. So, or you can think about playing a C major scale, lower second, lower third, fourth, lower fifth, lower sixth, lower seventh. Oh, sorry, I'm not on C, sorry that. Right?
Yeah.
So, and that would be over.
Yeah. Which is why you probably don't hear that one as often. It seems to be the least used.
Yep. So that's my story on modes. But the value in this jam track that we have for you is it allows you to experiment with every mode. Doesn't matter, but it's all based on C's, right? So we can go C major. Let me get a little more volume here. If you want to play C minor, you can do that. If you want to do mixolydian, let's do that. Lydian. Right? So that's the value in that jam track. It allows you to hear what each mode sounds like and start to get really familiar with it. And I would encourage you to take every mode and play along with it, the numbers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2.
Yeah.
So do that with starting on 1, and then make C the 2, then make C the 3, then make C the 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a really good exercise too.
Yeah. Very nice.
I think that's all I have to say because I don't want to get too deep into it. The main thing I want you to take from this is that each mode has a different color or sound.
Yeah.
And you access that by, to start with, you access it by making a different note of the major scale, the tonal center. That's it.
Yeah.
So.
I actually only had modes not really explained to me, but I only really started understanding them a couple years ago because I was always so intimidated when people would talk about, oh yeah, there's all these other modes. It's like, well, I know a major scale and I know a minor scale. And it's like, but in reality, that actually was playing in modes already. And once someone had explained to me and I kind of learned, it's like, oh, all I'm doing is just starting on a different note and ending on that same note within a scale. All of a sudden they just made sense.
Yeah. But like thinking about it in the second way on the second page lets you know what notes are more characteristic to that scale. And as you do this, instead of just playing through the scale, like hitting the arpeggios, for whatever chords you're playing over, like that first song we did, it was in G minor. So I was trying to think of that a lot and just be aware, like I'll maybe do a fast run, that I was thinking, okay, Dorian scale, right? Or hit a E on purpose. For the raised sixth note of the Dorian scale. So,
definitely.
That's done.
Perfect.
I'm done.
Okay, we got a couple questions in here.
Cool.
If you guys have questions, you can be sure to send them in. We got some time to answer them. And then I had one other thing that I wanted to talk about. So remind me if I forget. Remind me. Just remind me.
Okay. Andrew has something to talk about, everyone.
It's not that exciting. It was just about the first song. Okay, first question here from rsantos16. I have often heard that modes are taken from the degrees of a scale. For instance, if I am playing in G, I could solo over it using the 5th D mixolydian. What's confusing is that I thought I could just play a D major, but when I look up the notes for D Mixolydian, there's a flat 7 in there. Is that just a feature of Mixolydian, or can I just play it straight up the D major scale?
It depends on the context of the song. Like if you're just grooving over, like say you're in the key of G major. Right? That sounds like it's in G major. I mean, you could play. Could you play that for me? So, okay, check this out. G major scale. See, I switched to D major right when you hit that D major chord, but it sounded a bit weird. It sounded like something was off.
Yeah.
So, I would say be careful in the context of a song. But, like, if you have a song that stays on a G chord for a long time, and then it goes to a D chord for a long time, you kind of have the choice of the mode that you want to express over that.
Yeah.
But generally, if a song's kind of poppy and it's centering around like a major key of G, that would probably stick away from that a little bit.
Yeah.
But like you could play D Mixolydian, but you're still just playing the G major scale. All you're doing is emphasizing a D. So I think a more efficient way to think about that in like a pop progression that's not modal or not emphasizing the Mixolydian scale is to think about G major and then worry about hitting notes in the D major chord as you're playing over that D major.
Yeah, I agree. Another question here from Jams. Hi Nate, when you were showing the Dorian mode, you indicated lowering the 3rd and the 7th. The PDF shows lowering the 3rd and the 6th.
Wow, that's a mistake, I would imagine. Let's see. Let's go down to C major. So there's C major, right? 1, 2, lower the 3rd, 3, 4, 5. The 6th is natural.
Okay.
So that should be 7th. That's incorrect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lowered 7th.
Okay. So it's just wrong on the PDF.
Yeah, that 6 should be a 7.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well I hope that clarifies then for you, Jams. Sorry about that. While we're waiting for more questions, because we don't have any right now, and we can end with this. I was just thinking, when you showed me this song, you said, "Oh, it's like in Dorian, like the song we played over in the beginning." And when someone were to listen to it, they would see, okay, well, if they were trying to figure out the chords, they would see it was G minor, and then C major. What would make them go, "Oh, that's Dorian"? Because if you play that, and I were to play.
Right.
I would automatically assume, oh, it's just in G minor. But you have to actually analyze that second chord to be able to know, oh, that should be a C minor if it were in G minor, right? So when people are trying to figure out if there's like a certain modal characteristic to a song, they kind of should be analyzing the chords first. Is that right?
That is exactly right.
Okay.
Because like if you just have a groove over G major, G minor. You could choose to keep it like minor pentatonic. You can do Dorian, you can do Phrygian, you can do Aeolian, anything you want, right? Yeah. But as soon as you put context of another song, I mean, it gets, you could play G minor over the G. Yeah. But as soon as you go to the C7 or C major, you're gonna need to think the Dorian scale, because the notes in there don't. Otherwise, the notes in there wouldn't quite fit over it.
Right.
But like one thing that I would think about, like, what are the chords in the key of F major? Right. F, B flat, C for the 5. Yep. right? It's just a 1-4-5 in the key of F. F, B flat, C, C7, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a C7 on the chart originally for this too. So that C7, anytime I see a 7 chord, I think, okay, what is that 7 chord? What is it the 5 of?
Right.
And that'll let me know what major key that I'm in, right? So it's the 5 of an F major.
Right.
So I think, okay, this is Ionian mode. I can think, like, if I got lost in that jam track, I just went to an F major scale.
Yeah.
And then tried to end on a G, and like, okay, now I know where I am again.
Yeah. And that's what I always find that I like to do when I'm, especially like analyzing, just if I'm trying to find the key and I look at the chords, I go through the whole thing. It's like, okay, well there's G major and let's say a C major and a D major. It's like, well, I know for sure that that's the key of G major. But it's like, oh, or it could be like D major, and then it's like, wait, C major is not in D major, so I can't do that. So then I throw that out. And you can do the same thing with something like this. So it's like G minor and C major. My inclination would automatically be like, oh, it's probably in G minor, and then when I get to that C major, I go, oh, that's not in the key of G minor or B flat major, and then I would go, okay, well, what key are both those chords going to exist in, right? That's what I would do.
If you're wanting to keep it like one kind of tonal center or one scale, if you want to use one scale for everything, because you could use a G ailing if you wanted to, and then switch tonalities to like C mixed 11.
For sure, for sure.
It just depends what you want to hear. That's probably not what most people would normally do, I would guess.
Right.
But
because all I did over that, I would just play a G minor scale, and then when we play the C, I would just add that E note in.
Yeah. There you go.
Just raise the.
That's basically what Andrew is doing then.
Yeah,
So.
and that's all I do. Okay, well, it looks like that's it for questions.
Okay.
Nice, that was quick and good and great. Should we play out on something completely random that we've never played before, like we tend to do?
I did last week. What you got?
Okay, hold on. I got to think for a second because I want this to be applicable because this is a modal thing, right? That's the whole idea. Don't do stuff like that. We'll just go. We'll go easy. Okay.